and together we combine to form the Perpetual Geek Machine. How are you gentlemen doing this fine evening?
I'm doing well.
It's good to hear.
Maintaining altitude.
That is good. Also good to hear. No crashing. No crashing, Ryan. So we got a light show tonight, gentlemen, but that does not mean it'll be a bad show. It's just not jam-packed to the gills. This is
not a three-course meal. It's an amuse-bouche.
Yeah, this is what we get when we don't have Nicole on.
Yes.
So everybody, the fans get a lighter show. Because I didn't really have anything good to contribute to what you've been doing, but we'll talk about that a little bit.
There's always more than you think. You don't have to have an earth-shattering topic every single week.
No, I know, but like when I'm doing the same things over and over again, like I watched Cheers, I watched Game of Thrones and Mad Men, and I
get what you're saying.
Yeah. So
all I got to do is make a Prometheus reference, and I can watch the two of you just fight like bugs in a jar.
With that, we've actually made a pact.
Yeah.
Oh.
That it came up again at D&D, the show after, like the next time we played after
and
that recording,
and then
at dinner the other night, and we made a pact to never discuss Prometheus together.
I just don't want to. I don't want it to end in fisticuffs.
That movie
That's where it goes.
Shall not be named.
I've only ever almost punched you once.
Yeah, and I probably deserve that, but we don't need to get into that.
No, we don't need to get into it, but I'm not a physical guy, but Rich just pushed me that far.
Yeah.
So, but we'll get into the few things we've been doing. We'll take a little break and come back on the other side with 5-Hit Combo. And tonight's 5-Hit Combo is the jobs you'd like to have for 1 week. And that'll be myself versus Rich with Ryan judging. And then we'll do a little bullshit after that, and that'll be the size of the show. So, without further ado, let's get started. And Ryan, why don't you tell me what you've been doing?
I went to see much after the initial release, but I was like, whatever. Bored on a Sunday, I'll go see Oblivion, the lasted Tom Cruise sci-fi vehicle.
Nice. I kind of want to see it.
Yeah, you know what? I liked it. It's pretty good. It's a little draggy in certain parts for reasons I didn't totally understand. But the overall idea is, and I will say, I have to get this just sort of out of the way right off the bat. I almost hesitate to say it because it's not really fair, and it also you might think it tells you too much, although it doesn't. But it owes more than a little to Moon. Thematically, just because of the idea of like those lone outposts in space where you're stationed to do maintenance. That idea, just the whole setting. I actually think this would have made a fantastic video game.
Really?
Because it's got actual like real plot reasons for boundaries in the world, and you've got like they have this incredible, like it's Tom Cruise and I forget the name of the British actress who's there. She's like a redheaded actress, but there's
Emily Blunt.
Yeah, no. It's no one.
There's another redheaded British actress.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There's two of them.
Yes.
Yeah. There's like 2,000 of them actually, but they're in this like unbelievable like above the cloud line floating Jetsons apartment, but like from an Air album cover. And they've got a floating pool, which is like worth just this one scene, which I did think dragged too long, just because you get to see them swim in a pool that was like floating above the clouds, which is just the greatest. A transparent pool. The whole thing's transparent, of course. This guy has a real hard on for transparency, if you didn't know this, from Toronto.
But they don't have no fear of heights, I take it then, right?
No, and there's no safety rails. It's full Star Wars regulation spec, so you just got to be cool enough to live there.
It's like when you're walking around in BioShock Infinite, where you just fall off and you're just back up.
Yeah. We will not speak of this.
Yes.
Yeah. So the movie itself is really good. I mean, it's a longer movie than I expected it to be, but it had that sort of nice old school pacing. It felt like something like an old Arthur C. Clarke short story that you'd find in one of those compendiums, or
cool.
The shorter, like just golden age sci-fi, pretty straightforward story. Like it does, try to do some things that are a bit different. And the visual design is like really one of the reasons to see it. Like that ship he's got is amazing, and everything in the apartment is amazing. It all looks amazing.
Everything's amazing.
But you said the trailers don't give away the entire story, because it definitely looks like it does.
No, it doesn't. It's a total fake out, actually. So it's but not. It's natural for people like us to watch movies like this and try to pick them apart, and you're like, you're not going to fool me. I will unravel this. And you can do it if you're paying attention enough to certain details. I do think that there's a particular plot thing I won't tell you. But I noticed it enough where it actually made me guess why I was noticing so much, and then it led me to guess part of what was happening later. But it's worth seeing. You know, it's cool. It's straightforward, and it's a very measured movie. You know, you almost don't see them kind of made this way anymore. It's almost amazing that it did get made. I think it's based on a graphic novel that Kaczynski actually wrote earlier. So maybe this was like his, thank you project after Tron or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, I liked it.
I have the I picked up the Mondo release of the soundtrack by M83 on vinyl.
Yeah,
it's actually I just got the shipping notice today, so I should have it by the time this podcast posts. Not that it helps us tonight, but that's kind of the way I've decided to go with the Mondo releases, because there's so many posters I'd love to have, but I have limited wall space.
Right.
Or, not necessarily limited wall space, but more so limited budget for getting them framed nicely.
Yeah, it costs a lot to get a good frame. It's like 100
absolutely.
bucks.
And those things deserve a good frame, not just like, the properly sized one at Target or something. But I decided to go the way of getting all the soundtrack releases, no matter what they are.
Were you saying you're above masking taping posters to your wall like you did in college?
I might be a little bit above that. I actually used to I used to take a thumbtack and put it on the outside, like tight to the edge of it, so I didn't actually puncture the paper.
Wow.
And just
I see. Just like a friction mount almost.
Pretty much, yeah. Like put like 2 at each corner and then like a couple along the edges.
Just keep it mounted.
Just to hold it up. Yeah.
Makes sense, If you want to keep that Iron Maiden poster in as pristine
generally
condition
works
as you can.
That was more later when I was getting into like bringing home all of the movie posters from Cinemark.
I have so many posters.
Oh yeah, house. I have tubes and tubes of posters. Yeah.
When I was in college, the one year we had a guy who was working in a theater, so of course he escalated that arms race very quickly and started bringing home like standees and shit like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And we had we always knew which balcony was ours because we pointed because it's the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger standing on it, and it looked like he was just standing there from a lot of angles. It freaked a lot of people out, and we just full life-size Arnold from Last Action Hero standee just on our balcony, just constantly staring out.
Yeah. And I saw on IndieWire today, Mondo's doing a Paul Thomas Anderson series all this week. They're doing Hard 8 and Boogie Nights and Punch Drunk Love, and the There Will Be Blood poster is amazing.
Is it just a milkshake? Empty?
No, it's fucking incredible. Like it's so detailed. It's gorgeous. It is absolutely beautiful. But and I'm just looking at it going, no, don't just get a highest res JPEG you can and just make a wallpaper out of them or something. That's the best you're gonna do. So let's move on, and Rich, let's keep the movie thing going, and I want to hear about Iron Man 3.
Okay, how much do you want to hear? How spoilery are we getting?
I don't really care. Ryan, have you seen
heard this was the best one of the 3.
I have heard that as well.
True.
I would disagree, but I mean, I really liked the movie though. I thought it was a very entertaining movie. Do you guys care if I say anything about it?
Like you're not gonna like Tony Stark dies sort of thing.
No,
right?
but there is a specific thing that happens in this movie. It is hands down the funniest plot twist I think I've ever seen in a movie. You might be a little bummed to hear about it, but
let's, for the safety of our listeners who might be screaming at us right now, let's not do that. Let's not talk about that.
I'll dance around that, but overall, I really like the movie. It's probably, in my opinion, the weakest one out of all 3. I was not a huge fan of the last one, but this one, what they're trying to do, the main theme of the movie is who is Iron Man. Tony Stark is, he's got all these cool gadgets. He's got the girl. He's saved the world a couple of times now. And
thought he was a millionaire playboy philanthropist. Yeah. Didn't he answer that in Avengers? What is he without the suit? He said.
At the end of the day, though, like he's wondering, like, is Iron Man the suit or is Iron Man me? And he's starting to kind of question, like, it's kind of like a Dark Knight Rises.
So it's
sort
the
of
Terrence Malick Iron Man,
sort of. But the thing is, I'll come back to this though. He's got like all this PTSD he's suffering from because of the Avengers, and they mention New York a couple times, from his experience in that wormhole thing or whatever. So he's not sure of himself anymore. He's basically lacking confidence now, even after all he's done. And the movie, it tries to be serious. It tries to have this like, Dark Knight Rises or whatever Dark Knight Rises was attempting to do. Trying to like just take away all the gadgets, all this stuff that makes a superhero, and just strip him down to the man. And is the superhero what's inside, or is it like all the cool armor and the gadgets and things that he has? And that's basically what the movie's about. The problem is they want to do the Tony Starks we've seen prior to this, like jokey, sleeping with all these women, and
alcoholic.
Kind of alcoholic, but like they want to do all that, still have fun with it, but also at the same time have kind of a drama with it. Like it doesn't have the cohesion that I think they intended it to have. So the plot of it and the message they were trying to convey is a little bit of a mess. The first act is all over the place, but usually by the time the second act rolls around, the movie is kind of just going along and everything. And once you stop like thinking too much about like the nonsense that had happened in the first act and just kind of let it roll, Tony Stark is as funny as, in my opinion, he's the funniest he's been in any of the movies in this one. I was cracking up throughout most of this movie because of him. I mean,
it's kind of amazing to think, he's done 4 of these movies as Iron Man.
Yeah.
Like that's really starting to get up there.
I maybe Christopher Reeve is Superman, but beyond that, I don't think any other actor has fit a part, like a comic book character part, better than Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark and Iron Man.
I'll agree that he's excellent in these movies. I don't know enough about Iron Man to know if he's like the quintessential Iron Man, because like from what I understand, he's like a little bit darker of a character because
he's not kind of an alcoholic in the comics. He is a full-on alcoholic.
Yeah,
like,
he's got some demons, some of the better superheroes definitely have their demons and stuff. And I mean, I love what they do with him in this. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. has definitely sold these movies to me. I know next to nothing about the villains, certainly Iron Man himself, aside from the fact that he's got suits and he keeps making more and more and more of them.
That's kind of what I mean. Like I went into the first Iron Man knowing absolutely fucking nothing about Iron Man at all, and came out absolutely completely in love with the character. With Tony Stark, with Robert Downey Jr. as him, and the whole story. I just thought he makes it work so well.
He does, but my point is that I can't really speak to how good he is as Tony Stark because I don't know who Tony Stark is.
There's no real answer. It's like which is its comic run. Like that's the problem.
That's always a thing. But
and then like how do you compare Jack Nicholson's Joker to Heath Ledger's Joker? They're both awesome in their own way.
Yeah, very true.
So it's tough to compare the two. So yeah, you always get, it's like anytime there's a source novel or graphic novel or whatever else, like you develop in your mind what these characters are like. And graphic novels, you get a little bit more of a push, but you don't get as much description. You get the visuals. So you can picture them, but then like you don't really know their inflection or their speech pattern and things like that. Mm-hmm. And those are the things that have to be brought to life. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm just going to fall behind real quick on movies, good. Unfortunately. But
I don't know why I haven't been in a hurry lately to see these. Like I feel like I'm getting like lazier about
You're getting older.
My blockbusters.
We're both waiting. You and I are both waiting for the time when on demand just takes over as the primary delivery source.
Well, it's just it, right? Like I mean, half the time you go to the theater and it's fine. It's nice to see on a big screen and all that. Right. But like so many times I'll go now and I just I get crotchety because I can tell one of the woofers is blown and some kid's loud and it's just like, you just get so picky. It's like, why am I not watching this on my fabulous home theater setup?
Yeah, that's what I mean. When I got my HD TV and I got a really super nice stereo and speakers and all that stuff, like at that point I had surpassed the quality of what I could get at the theater. The only thing the theater was offering me was size. What's that?
Don't forget 3D and 48 frames per second.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Big fan.
Anyway, anything else about Iron Man?
Well, a gripe about the movie, and this kind of ties into
where were the Avengers? Did they address that?
They don't, despite the 5-hit combo answers from a couple of weeks back.
I'll assume mine are canon then.
Yeah,
that's what happened.
Yeah, because you won, right?
Yeah, I think I did actually.
Yeah.
Now they don't really get into that actually. It's probably for the best, but like I don't know. I've been hearing things that like Marvel/Disney or whatever has had ideas about like phases for how they're introducing like all of this. Like phase 1 was having all the single standalone movies to lead into the Avengers. I think we're now
Captain America, all that stuff.
Yeah,
I missed the Hawkeye and Black Widow movies though.
I think they're coming. I think
really?
they were testing.
There's a whole movie for each one of them.
Well, I'm not sure about
There's an
Hawkeye.
Ant-Man movie coming. Of course they're coming. They're all coming.
Like Hawkeye, I'm not sure about Hawkeye, but I know they were kind of testing the waters to see if Black Widow would work, like with Iron Man 2 and certainly in the Avengers and stuff. I think they may be trying to give that one the green light and stuff. At least that's the last I heard.
They should just do Budapest, whatever that reference was from, like keep talking about it's just like Budapest. He's like, you and I remember that very differently. Like they should just make that movie. They didn't have a movie for both.
Yeah.
That'd be funny to make. I don't know what the situation in Budapest was, but to make one movie that's based around the one character and the other movie based around the other character's remembrance of the events, and have them be two completely different movies.
Yeah. Well, you could do that with this sort of budget now. I mean, it's such a ridiculous embarrassment of riches. I know I've said it before, but you're like, sometimes I just look at all these comic movies that have materialized, and you're like, what the hell happened? Like, what caused this? It's really weird. I never would have guessed it in a million years. Like,
well, here we are.
Yeah.
I don't particularly understand it either. I mean, I think
and we had them in when I was growing up. There was a really bad Spider-Man movie in the 70s, and obviously we had Superman and all that stuff, right? And then Batman with the the weird emo Batman that Tim Burton conjured.
Yeah.
It's just it blows me away how many of these things get made and how popular they are. And I know why they're popular. I just can't believe that they've happened.
Yeah,
they make sense to me. And usually things like that don't.
I pinned it back to Bryan Singer's first X-Men movie.
You think? I don't know. I might even go.
That's when it all started.
Yeah, it kind of is.
And then Spider-Man came after that. They both made $1 billion. X-Men 2 came out, and X-Men 2 was fucking great. And then Batman Begins comes out. Despite what you think of it, like it made a really.
I like Batman Begins.
Now you do.
I always have liked Batman Begins. And, I don't even want to talk. You know what?
There's another one. Put it on the list.
Dark Knight trilogy is off the table. You and I are not talking about this anymore because I can't have a conversation with you about this.
Because you want to acknowledge that all of them are brilliant.
I'll acknowledge that the first one's good, the second one's great, and the third one sucks. That's what.
When the Robin movie comes up, you're going to have to readdress this whole situation again.
I'm gonna have a fucking fit when that comes out.
You know it's coming.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Oh, they've set it up so hard in number 3 with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah, they really did. But I don't even think that he's like they haven't talked about Joseph Gordon-Levitt playing.
I don't think so. I think the idea is that they're going to go with something. They're starting over fresh, and they're doing something.
They're doing Batman again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's called Batman again, but
well, it should be though. That'd be really funny. Like again in parentheses.
I'd pay to see that. I think the idea is to reboot the franchise in like 2015, 16, something like that. And I think the idea also with the DC universe is to sort of build towards, was it Justice League? Is what they have, like their Avengers.
I don't know if they can.
I don't think it's that
Aren't
strong.
Aren't properties all over the place?
I think they kind of are, but I think that was the hope.
Yeah.
At one point, I have no idea. I mean, they're doing Superman now, obviously. So
right, and Sony's never going to let go of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
To the Avengers.
That's Marvel. Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
If you let me finish my sentence. I know what I'm talking about.
All right.
So annoyed that they can't just show him in the background of one of the movies, just swinging by, just to go. We know. we know.
And they made $1 billion with the Avengers. They could throw Sony some money too to license them. Yeah. Like.
And I did like the. Did you guys see that there's a LexCorp reference in that Man of Steel trailer?
Is there?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
It's on one of the buildings when you could see all these meteors coming down.
I was curious to see how they would, if they would introduce Luthor in this movie at all, but I don't know.
All right, let's move on. Ryan, why don't you finish out here what you've been doing?
Playing Thomas Was Alone.
This is an indie adventure game, right?
Yeah, this is one of those ones that kind of started off as like a, I think a little Flash game, like around 2011, I think.
Right.
And then Sony scooped it up. They've been doing a lot of this lately with indies. Like it seems to be kind of their big thing because they'll scoop up an indie dev and they'll fund it for PS3 and Vita, and they'll come out as a cross-buy like this one did. There's a lot of games that are doing that. This is essentially a uber minimalistic puzzle platformer. It evokes a lot of the same kind of sensation as Sword and Sorcery, where it's very big on a kind of simplistic, childlike sense of wonder, about the place. And you have these like Atari 2600 blocks that you're jumping through an Atari 2600 looking landscape. I mean, it's not completely brutally minimal. It's got like some nice, very subtle gradients and little high res, details in the background, but it's extremely simple looking. And you start off and you're like, I'm a block. What am I doing as a block? And it has this narration by this British guy, and they've written all this story for these blocks that are just inventing stuff as they go along and have these distinct personalities. And it's a very weird juxtaposition because it'll be like a paragraph of text that's attached to your guy for the first few seconds of the level, and it will be read out by this British dude in kind of like a storybook sort of voice. He's like, I've discovered that I am excellent at falling, but I seem to need some sort of reverse falling. Maybe I'll call it jumping. Yes, jumping. I will now become good at jumping. And you're like all this stuff. And then later on, so this is the main character is Thomas. It's just it looks like a block. And then he meets another shorter orange block who's really miserable because he can't jump as high as like the slightly taller guy, and he's slower, but he can fit under small things. And then as you go through, you start to build this cast of characters with just, okay, here's a flat block. And when you jump on the flat block, it makes you bounce. And that one's called Claire. And Claire is sort of in love with Thomas, but Thomas hasn't really noticed that Claire exists, even though she seems to have this superpower. Like, and there's writing all this stuff. It's like, Thomas growled angrily at the orange square. It's like, there's nothing going on. There's nothing happening on the screen. It's just writing and voiceover. But it has a very interesting effect on it, because you're just being told the story as you're playing it, so it sort of runs almost as a parallel like narrative along the background of the game itself, which is just trying to line up these pieces. And after a while, you're basically hopping between all the different blocks. You use like the shoulder buttons to toggle between them, so you have to control multiple blocks and understand how far each one can jump and remember which ones do what. And that's essentially the game. About halfway through it, I will say it's super easy so far, and I don't think it's a very long game. I mean, it's $10, so I'm not expecting an epic or anything. But
right,
I like the idea. I just wish it was a little bit tougher because it is so far just blowing through it. Also, the whole game is on a 12-degree tilt.
Really?
Everything, like a Dutch angle. It's odd. But the music is amazing. Like, it's probably one of the best parts about it is just you have this really cool soundtrack. Like, I would put it up there with like Fez and Sword and Sorcery for just like really nice, evocative, atmospheric, almost like digi-folk. I don't know what you call that kind of music, but I like it. And it's a really nice, crispy little game. I like playing small games on handhelds. Like, if the game itself is kind of small in scope or small, like, there's something nice about playing those sorts of games just in your hands. Like,
it feels correct.
Yeah, there's no reason to play Thomas Was Alone on a 50-inch television with surround sound. You're just going to see even bigger blocks. Like, you're not going to get anything out of immersing yourself in the world of blocks.
Yeah.
But it's a cool game. I really do like it, and I love that these things are like the Vita is becoming this strange. It's like I said to someone the other day. It's like that divey bar that never really fixed itself up, but a lot of bands play there when they go through town. You're like, all right. Well.
There's a few of those in Philly.
Yeah. No doubt. So yeah, I mean, I definitely recommend it, but you have to sort of be aware that it's going to be like a few-hour experience for what it is.
Right.
But I like supporting that stuff. It reminds me of it's just in that same wheelhouse as Sound Shapes and all those other little kind of uber minimal indie gem platformer types. So I liked it.
Cool.
And the guy, I mean, I did a little bit of reading about it, and apparently the guy won a BAFTA for the voiceover in this game.
Wow.
So it definitely got some attention.
That's cool. Yeah, it sounds very charming. So
he's not alone though through most of it.
Oh.
Despite
Thomas
the
is
title.
not in fact alone. He's alone at the. It's just the first line of the game. That's all it is.
Thomas was alone for a few seconds
until he met Chris and Judy. And Judy's the fat block.
Ah.
I don't know. They're all named like that.
Judy sounds like a fat block.
The tallest one is like a total douche. He's like, I should help these poor little dumb blocks because they're clearly disabled.
All right. Well, I think that wraps up what we've been doing. So we'll take a little break here, and we'll come back on the other side with some 5-hit combo.
And I will judge you. Mind karate. I'm gonna go get a drink.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Sounds good.
Is it okay that he's like cutting out, like getting lower?
What's that?
Is it okay that he's like?
Yeah, it's probably not doing that on his actual recording. These are those posters I was talking about. That's for Heart 8.
Okay. Nice.
Fucking love that one.
That's a great poster.
Yeah.
Okay. I was not a huge fan of Magnolia.
I haven't seen it in a long time. I hope I still like it.
You know, see all these?
What's that?
You know, watch all these?
Look at that.
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
That is awesome.
How fucking amazing is that?
That is a great poster.
Yeah. Yep.
Sorry about the squeaking sound, if you picked up on that.
I didn't pick up on it.
I have this neighbor. She's got this like little toy non-dog, and she does this really weird routine with it in the backyard where she'll go out there and she'll like hold up this squeak toy and just go like just constantly do it. And the dog ignores her most of the time, like doesn't pay her. But every so often the dog will turn and it'll bark, and as soon as it barks once or twice, she's like, wait, shut up, be quiet, shut up. She just shuts the toy, and then there'll be like a pause, and then like the dog can't make any sound. It just has to take it. It's really weird.
That is really strange.
Sounds like she's just playing like sick head games with that dog.
There is something very wrong with her.
That's very weird. I posted a link to that all those posters that they're releasing.
Oh Jesus, yeah, you weren't kidding. Look at that. That's awesome.
You look at the There Will Be Blood one.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the Magnolia one too. That's creepy.
I haven't watched Magnolia in a long time. I was just talking to Rich about this. Like, I hope I still like that movie if I rewatch it.
Yeah, I don't think I could hang that. Like, it would just overpower everything in the room, much like the movie.
Because that was the same time as American Beauty, which when I've rewatched that recently, that is a huge piece of shit.
I like that movie. I'm surprised to hear you guys say that.
I don't know. I was watching it one day. It was on TV. I was just looking at it going, I don't even have time for this right now. What the fuck is it?
I like Kevin Spacey and his story arc in that. Everybody else I can kind of take or leave, really.
Yeah.
Idiot neighbor kid, I can't stand him.
Wes Bentley.
Yeah, stupid plastic bag shit.
Yeah, prototype emo boy. He was a little bit heavy, wasn't he?
That
I always just think of it primarily as the Kevin Spacey arc because it was just his narration, right?
Yeah. That I did like Chris Cooper in that as well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know the whole.
Well, Chris Cooper's great and everything, so
it's true.
All right, ready to come back?
Yeah.
Welcome back, and without further delay, let's just head right into 5-Hit Combo. And like we said at the top of the show, tonight's topic is the top 5 jobs you'd like to have for 1 week. And if you give me 1 second, I will read the description of what 5-Hit Combo is.
Way to vamp.
Which I should have looked up long before I started talking.
Keep it going.
And I have not done that yet.
You're on your second lap. You have a comfortable lead. Keep it going.
God damn it. I don't know where it is. Fuck! I'm going to start over. I got to find it and start over. Hold on a second.
Too many tabs.
Yeah.
Are you just looking for the Google Doc?
I don't know if I have it anywhere. It's not in the Google Doc.
Oh, no, you're right. It's not. Isn't it just top 5 jobs you'd take for a week?
No, not that. Like the description that was given to us.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
You could just splice it in from last week's show.
Yeah. With Dan reading it.
Didn't you guys toy with the idea of just recording it once and just dropping it in every week?
We might have.
Might not be the best. That might be the best way to go.
Speed it up 300%.
Dead air.
There it is. All right, welcome back. Hope you guys enjoyed your break there, and I know it was rather fantastic for us. But without further delay, we are going to head right into 5-Hit Combo. And as we all know by now, 5-Hit Combo is a friendly competition in which two players read back their top 5 list of a given topic in a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 style, while a third player judges lists based on his or her own personal taste. The players may change every week, but the game is perpetual. And tonight, our 5-Hit Combo is the top 5 jobs you'd like to have for 1 week. And myself and Rich have come up with 5 jobs we'd like to have for 1 week. And Ryan's going to judge us on that. So, as is tradition, I'm going to hand over the rest of this duty to Mr. Ryan Houston.
I have the conch.
You have the conch.
I am going to just flip a regular ass coin because I can't think of a clever intro for that this week. Call it.
It's tails.
Oh, okay, we call it first. Okay. It's tails.
Oh, man. I will go first this time.
All right.
I'll give my answers first.
Let the mind karate begin.
All right. My number 5 job I'd like to do for a single week is I'd like to do all sorts of PGM-related stuff for a week, because that means we have found a way to do something with money, and it's actually worth our time to do that. And that would make us happy, I think. So just for a week, I like to see what that's like, and if it's something I'd like to pursue the rest of the time that I'm not doing that.
What kind of salary do you get?
A lot.
Oh.
A whole lot. There's 3 partners in this, and then there's other,
I'm on the show sometimes.
Yeah, you're on the show, yeah.
It comes in bags with dollar signs on it. That's how much he gets paid.
It's like canvas bags with, a bright black dollar sign thing on it.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's usually how I get my paychecks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's all pennies, though.
All right, Rich, what do you got?
All right. I would like to be a bikini inspector.
Now, I've seen those credentials displayed on, but I was under the impression that that was perhaps in jest. Are you telling me that this is in fact a real vocation that one might have?
Well, you can't just you can't just become a bikini inspector. You have to go to school for it. There's lots of training.
Okay,
those guys on the beach, they have serious credentials. They know what they're doing. It might seem like something you could just walk into and just do it on the fly, but you have to really, really commit to this.
Okay, so I have questions about this. When you're getting accredited for bikini inspection, would this also be the same sort of training that you would receive for, say, muff diving?
Yes, but there's different schools that specialize in that, though.
Because you just branch at one point. It's like a major.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think the finest bikini inspection school is in Juilliard, I want to say.
Yeah, you might be right, but
yeah.
I might go with UCLA.
Oh, okay.
Or University of Miami.
I don't think I could do it. You know why? Because I would not be able to reject a bikini. I'd feel awful. Like, it's just not in my personality to dole that out as my job. I'd be like,
that might be the secret,
telemarketing or something.
That's the downfall.
This bikini is rejected.
Yeah.
I've inspected it, and I am rejecting it.
Get off the beach.
But you might be doing all of us a great service.
Get off the beach. Get off the girl. This bikini is in violation of something that I'm not familiar with. All right. Bikini inspector. Number 4.
All right. Number 4. This is something I thought about for a very long time, of actually maybe giving it a shot. And I know this might sound ridiculous to a lot of people. This is the only actual, this is the only actual one. Anyway, whatever. I like to try being a stand-up for a week. I like to cobble together maybe 10 minutes of stuff and just be a opening person for a week.
Yeah,
just for a week.
You see buses, huh? You see these things? Who's riding these things? Yeah. Huh? Have you heard?
What's up with the airline food? Huh?
Why do they call it homework? You're not working on your home.
Why do we park in a driveway and drive in a parkway?
Oh, man.
I love how our stand-up comedian is
It's some weird version of Jerry Seinfeld.
Even I think I was actually quoting a couple things he did on the show.
Yeah,
making fun of himself. But
right.
Anyway.
But yeah, I don't know.
Just
I've
go through
always
a giant hack routine. Every hack joke.
Yeah.
Microphones are weird, right?
Yeah. Why am I doing this? Yeah, I don't know. I can't really explain it other than it's something that I used to watch a lot of stand-up when I was younger. Like, MTV had their half-hour comedy hour. It's when Evening at the Improv was still on, like, A&E and that kind of stuff. And there was a lot to be had. It was at the end of the comedy boom in the 80s and everything. And
right.
there was...
And
I
you wouldn't mind doing that in front of an audience? Like, you think you'd just be able to...
I don't really have a problem speaking in front of people at all.
Yeah, I don't either, but I've realized in my later years that most people do.
Yeah,
I had somebody tell me that everyone should try stand-up once if they are just even physically able to do it, just because they are in a subset of people who are able to speak in front of other people. And
I'm not saying I wouldn't be nervous. I don't have a problem. Once I get speaking, I'm totally fine.
You wouldn't like stutter for 10 minutes and then poop.
I doubt it.
Like that.
No. I'd have my wife's voice ring through my head to slow down. You're talking.
Yeah, that is true. Fast. Everybody always talks super fast when they are aware of themselves speaking like that. It was something I had to do when we first started doing podcasts. I still talk way too fast, but
no, you're fine.
I'm less stressed about it now. Stand-up's a pretty good choice, though. That would definitely be something to experience. Although I think I'd want to do it. I'd want to do your job, but just with the little proviso in the end, just that I had a killer set. I just want people to just uproariously cheer at me for a week.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
I can read off the set I know is already good.
Right.
All right, Rich, what do you got?
My number 4 is actually kind of similar, but it's more to it's a comedian basically, but it's for a specific purpose though. I want to be kind of like a mid-range, like in terms of popularity comedian, so that I can get an improv gig on Curb Your Enthusiasm and hopefully end up in a scene where Larry David like studies my face to see if I'm lying to him, or if Susie Essman could like call me like a lanky fuck, or you stupid bald fuck. I would love to be cursed at by Susie Essman. So I feel like that. I mean, just working on that show would be an absolute blast.
So basically, like a special guest star.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a ton of comedians that just come on for like one scene and then that's it. There's obviously some people who are like on and off the show, like Richard Lewis and a bunch of other people. But I mean, just to do like one scene on that show and just have Susie Essman like swearing up and down at me would be
just Curb, no other show.
Yeah, just it. No other show. Career over.
Yeah.
We're only doing it for a week, so.
Now that you mentioned it, I should have expanded mine to like hosting SNL for a week.
Yeah, that would probably be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I would love to do it. Yeah,
hang out with Andy Samberg.
Yeah, maybe he's not on the show anymore.
Well, and what week are we talking about here?
Well, I don't know.
This is time travel. Highly seasonal. This is important.
Yeah, time travel expert. All right. I guess I'll take up here. My number 3. I would like to be the Philly Fanatic for a week.
Ooh, good answer.
What is that?
The Philly Fanatic is the best mascot in all of the professional sports kingdom.
Oh, I thought it was a serial killer.
No. The Philly Fanatic is the big green thing from the Galapagos Islands. He's at all the Philadelphia Phillies home games and baseball games. That's our baseball team, Ryan.
I didn't know that there was a connection between Philadelphia and the Galapagos Islands.
Yes, there is. There's a large one. It's all based on this big green guy, the Philly Fanatic.
That just raises new questions.
But if I can't take Tom Burgoyne's job, I would like to be Phoebe Fanatic, the Philly Fanatic's mother. But I have some stipulations here. That is a big, huge suit that he wears. So I want to do this in September during a playoff race.
So it's not
so that the stadium's like really excited. It's not real hot out, But I think having that thrill of everybody, because no matter if you are 5 years old or 75 years old, if you are a Philadelphia Phillies fan, you get super excited to see the Fanatic every time he comes out.
He drives around
never
that
gets old. Not go-kart, it's an ATV.
Or whatever.
And he shoots hot dogs out of a cannon into the stands. Ryan, you would like it. It's a good time.
Picture.
I'll send you a picture of the Philly Fanatic.
Remember that episode of The Simpsons where there was Homer became the mascot, and there was that guy in the big baseball suit, the Atom or whatever he was. Picture something like along those lines.
Huh. Okay. I guess I can.
There's a lot of history I didn't even know about the Fanatic, actually.
Yeah, he's from the Galapagos Islands.
I did not realize.
He started in '78, so we're the same age.
Oh, cool.
So, is there a species assigned to the singer, or is it just always referred to as an indeterminate big green thing?
He's just the Phillies' biggest fan.
But what
he's a large, furry, green bipedal creature.
Apropos of nothing. That's my point. What are all these details? They have nothing to do with being a fan. They're just the color he is.
Yes.
That's what makes him great. He is unique.
And therefore he's a fan. It's like you're giving me the Chewbacca defense.
Yeah.
All right. Rich, what do you got?
I would like to be an Apple genius. Mostly so I could just mess with people, and give out disinformation for a week.
Have you tried restarting it 5 times?
Yeah. I kind of I just would do it mostly just to mess with people. Not that I actually want to do that job.
So you want to be an Apple Genius troll for a week?
Yeah, kind of.
There you go.
That's more accurate. Apple Genius troll.
That would be kind of funny to ruin people's lives.
Specifically to Apple fans, too.
These
Sorry,
jobs,
Ryan. But that would be extra funny to that.
All of my jobs are definitely more for my own amusement than to actually, fulfill some kind of, life dream or something.
Right.
Well, you'd have to do it in an Apple store. I mean, fucking Microsoft people have enough problems as it is.
All right, so that's number 3.
All right. Apple Genius Troll. That's pretty good, actually, if mean. Kevin, number 2.
I would like to take a crack at being George R.R. Martin's editor.
Oh, God. You got a leaf blower?
I would bring my shears and a pallet full of red pens and just start chopping.
I think I've realized why the show is able to move so much faster than the books is that you just don't have to spend all the time he does describing the clothes and describing the food. You see the clothes. You see it. Food. There's no exposition there. There is so much of those books that is just descriptive stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. The dialogue. I think it's like people are like, wow, they really sped it up. And they did in some ways, but in a lot of ways, they just don't have that to do. It's the visual medium.
Right.
But yeah, dude needs an editor, and that's why I still maintain my controversial stance that the show is better than the books.
I 100% agree with you, and I think Dan agrees with you as well. We've been saying that for a while, that I think that I absolutely think because of the changes they made, how much they've tightened it up, I think that the show is definitely better than the books. I've actually said to Linda last night after we finished watching the most recent episode that I kind of wish I had never read the books.
Yeah, it would be. Well, then you wouldn't know. And it's so rare that you get to say what I'm saying. It's practically never the case. The books are almost always better because they just get more time to explain everything. And as it turns out, the DOP in your head is not so bad. So, it's it's usually good. But these ones, just like, and then they ate this, and her brocade was made from gold leaf. And you're just like, oh my God, George, fucking get over it. Just what's going on? Where am I? And as an editor, do you get to stand behind with a cattle prod so he can maybe finish some books before the TV show catches up with him?
Yeah, I
think that's maybe necessary.
Well, it's a good thing they're splitting Storm of Swords into 2 seasons of the TV show. So
they have to.
Yeah,
I think
left cover there.
JRRM editor. All right, Rich, number 2.
My number 2. I would like to be a movie trailer editor. I want to be the guy that makes the stupid cliche romantic comedy things. As much as I hate seeing, those trailers.
Peter Gabriel song.
Yeah.
There you go. Shining.
As much as I hate seeing those trailers and how predictable they are.
Shining.
That's how they say it. Shining.
There's a part of me that kind of likes what goes into the mindset of making that, because what demographics are going to go see this type of movie, so you have to kind of craft your trailer in this way. And sometimes if your movie's just terrible, you have to make an extraordinarily misleading trailer too. It's very rare that I'm actually surprised by a movie because the trailer misled me in a good way. Most of the time they're usually misleading me in a terrible way.
Stupid way.
But
in an M. Night Shyamalan way.
Yeah, it's like you were saying a couple weeks ago. It's he continues to make you wonder, well, maybe this is the time where he turns around. Nope, no, it's not. It's still terrible. He's still awful.
What a jerk.
Yeah. So, movie trailer editor.
All right, and that brings us to our number 1.
All right, my number 1. A lot of this was inspired by the following Commander Hadfield on Twitter.
That guy's so awesome.
He is
You mean Canada's space dad?
Yeah. I would like to do anything on the ISS, on the International Space Station. Anything.
Going to space.
I don't care if I am like, I'd learn the science, I'd learn the controls, I'd learn to clean the ISS. And because even if I'm shoveling shit, guess what? I'm shoveling shit in space, motherfucker.
Yeah, automatically cooler. Face, though.
What's that?
That could come back in your face.
That's fine.
In
it's
space.
on my face in space.
Space shit.
You always get to end it with in space.
And also, like, you know, after a week, I know I'm coming home. It's like I wouldn't get stuck there forever, which would kind of be, I would be that person that fails the psychology test to spend time on the ISS. That's the problem. I like to think I'm a pretty sane person, but there's a tiny bit of claustrophobia in my blood, and I just think that it would get in my head that we are literally completely stranded, and only some of the smartest people on that planet down there, way, way, way down there, are the only ones who can get to us.
You know, it's a great pick, actually. I'm honestly surprised that you're number one, though. I would have thought for sure you would have gone a different direction.
What, beer?
No.
No.
Train conductor.
Yeah, I kind of expected that one, too, to be honest.
God damn it! Where were you when I was walking my dogs, talking to my wife about what I could put on my list?
I thought when I was making my list, I was like, man, Kevin is first. Like the first thing that popped in my head was like Unstoppable. I'm like, Kevin wants to do that.
Yes, 5 through 2 are train conductor.
No, I'm not writing those down.
All right. Yeah. Damn it.
Yeah.
But like I said, anything on the ISS.
It's a train that went into space.
Oh, Space Train. I gotta write that movie now.
Snakes on a space train.
I'm almost positive I will be playing Space Train on an iOS device in the next 3 months.
At some point, yeah. Well, you can do. You don't need the gravity to do a space train. Do you remember that roller coaster up at Six Flags Great Adventure in Central Jersey that was in the tube? And
no. I haven't been to that Six Flags a whole lot.
But it had like basically 4 contact points on 4 different rails.
Okay.
So it was like it could twist around and do all kinds of crazy stuff. It didn't need gravity. It was just like to hold it onto the track. So that's how you would do Space Train.
Gotcha.
That's all.
That's very detailed.
I already figured it out.
All right.
We're good to go.
Rich, you are number 1.
I just greenlit Space Train.
My number 1 is I would like to be an old-timey salesman, a la the guy who walks around, who has his carriage and sells snake oil and taps a cane on things and says, "You, sir, you could use this. Who amongst you couldn't resist?" You know, all that nonsense. Or if it helps, the guy at PAX East who sold wooden mustaches to everybody for $5 a piece and made a mint.
I thought you were going to sell marching bands and monorails.
That's a good one too.
It put Ogdenville and North Haverbrook on the map.
Monorail.
So now, is the distinction here because you mentioned the guy selling the wood mustaches? Would you just rather be selling something that is a hilariously clever markup on a near worthless item, or do you have to sell actual snake oil? Are you a huckster in this scenario?
Either or, really. I would rather. It's more the style that I would like to do. Even if I'm selling, like getting on there and selling like one of those things that, like, as seen on TV. Even if I'm just getting up there and selling those products, like those things are essentially like modern day, old timey, salesman tactics and stuff. They present all this information, all these fantastic features to a crowd of people, and they try it out, and they're like, "Oh, this is the best thing ever," And there's obviously plants there who are there just to say how great it is.
You'd have to have your technique down. You'd have to have your one-liners and your zingers ready for all the hecklers and.
Exactly. I got a great one actually. If a woman started giving me crap for it, I would say, "Ma'am, I don't come to your job and jump up and down on the bed."
That's right. Now, would you be interested in purchasing some?
Called her a whore at the same time.
Exactly. And it's so over her head she doesn't get it.
She's so stupid.
No, but I mean, if I had, like you said, all the zingers and all that stuff down, it'd be a fantastic job to have.
I just picture Rich at the end of the day on the outskirts of town, wagon parked, campfire brewing, and he's just chuckling to himself,
eating his can
at the day's events. Those rubes.
North Haverbrook. Where have I heard that before? Oh no! Oh no!
I can't fucking believe I forgot train conductor.
Yeah, none of us can.
God damn it! I should lose this one on principle.
Nah.
All right.
Have you tabulated?
Tabulations. Yes, I have. We are good to go.
I sent you a link to the Wikipedia page for the Philly Fanatic after the show.
Great.
Just so you can educate yourself.
He's like,
he seems
great.
not excited at all.
You didn't really sell it to him.
I'll send you a link to an inanimate carbon rod.
It's Employee of the Month.
That's right. Rod we trust. All right, number 5. Kevin said he would like to spend a week working on PGM because that would be a delightful thing to do, and we could actually get a lot more done in this situation that you described, where it was a what's the term? Going concern.
Yeah.
And Rich said bikini inspector. I had to go with bikini inspector because I just don't know very much about that job, and I would stand a lot to learn there. Whereas, if I really wanted to, I could just take a week off and work on the site. That's totally within my grasp. I just haven't done that.
There's a certain amount of on-site training you have to do with the bikini inspector, though.
Which, speaking about taking a day off, just to start teasing this a little bit, we haven't announced this yet at all, but on June 10th, the major presser day for E3, we're going to be doing an all-day hangout.
Yes.
At least Ryan and Dan and I, and we're going to try and wrangle some special guests.
Would that be a hangout-a-thon? Is there a way?
Yeah, sure. A perpetual hangout.
Perpetual cast day.
Day, something or other. But yeah, so we'll look for more info for that coming soon. So
yes.
Continue.
Number 4, Kevin said stand-up, and Rich said special guest star on Curb. I didn't feel a guest star would take up a whole week, so I had to go with stand-up because that was essentially the core of the idea, to do some comedy. I had to give that one to Kevin because that's also a lot braver because he was assuming he was writing his own material, and I don't know where he was going to find the 6 months on the road to lead up to the week where he could have something, or he's just going to go up there and just
spectacular crash and burn,
just bomb it over and over. Sure, why not? Yeah. He's like, I'm in for a week. What the fuck? Number 3, Kevin said some sort of cryptic mascot for Philadelphia. Rich
the Philly
said
Fanatic.
Apple Genius Troll. I had to go with Apple Genius Troll. I think that there is an opportunity to be a huge bastard, but you could always rein it in. You could just make the little changes. There's all sorts of ways to play tricks on people and without actually just overtly going, I ruined you. I just erased your files.
Isn't that funny? Gotcha.
No, not really fucking funny, but it would be kind of amusing for a week just to see people. I'm sure that's all you could take too. So that one I gave to Rich. So that's 2 for Rich. Number 2, it was the tale of two editors, a George R. R. Martin editor versus a trailer editor. I went with George R. R. Martin on this one because the alarm has been fired off because George is on fire. What is that?
Too much cattle product.
That was my smoke alarm.
Oh,
because my wife had the audacity to heat something in a skillet on our stove.
You're throwing down such hot answers. I got you.
It's like the slightest little flame sets that thing off.
So the thing about being a trailer editor is a buddy of mine does this, and it is not nearly as glamorous and as fun as you want to imagine.
Oh, really?
That's why I was shaking my head when you said that. I was like, no, I want 0 parts of that.
You don't get to make it cool. What happens is you make a cool one and you send it to them, and then a committee of idiots cuts it apart and tells you to do stupid stuff to it, and that's what ends up on the screen.
I figured it was probably pretty corporate, but I was also assuming that I had all the artistic, decision making.
You have that right now.
Clint Eastwood.
Go home. Make your fan edit, put it on YouTube. There you go.
That's about as close as I can get to it.
Yeah. And that job, what I just described, way funner than the one you get paid for.
Right.
So I went with George R. R. Martin
clients in video making. It's a nightmare.
It can be pretty bad. Yeah. So George R. R. Martin, that's a service we all need and require, and is required by him more than anybody else. So that would be kind of funny. Just be like, dude, just rain this. Who cares about the squids? Who cares about just cut this? That sounds actually kind of
Stop introducing new characters.
Yeah. Kill all these people in the next 2 pages.
I know you can do it. You've done it before.
That's right. So that brings us to number 1, which is the ISS visit versus old-timey salesman. That's a really weird thing to contrast and compare. course, I think I would have to go with space. That's just, it's sort of a bigger hammer approach that Kevin took there. But and I appreciate the creativity behind the old timey guy. But space station. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Again, I could probably go play that huckster dude at like some sort of like, annual fair somewhere around here this year if I really wanted to. I ain't going to space. They're not going to send me. I asked.
Yeah.
So that means Rich is our winner.
I think you mean Kevin's the winner.
Oh, sorry, Kevin's the winner. Sorry.
Oh, yay. Yes. I was confused. I'm like, I thought I had 3.
No, you.
All right. Yay.
I misbolded in my text editor.
Good showing, Rich.
You as well.
If I had substituted working on PGM for train conductor, would that have got me 4?
Train conductor? I don't know. Sounds kind of boring. Oh. I don't have your train mania.
Yeah.
You got to please me, my sensibilities.
I can please you. That'd be my job for a week. Well, pleasing Ryan.
You got to be bikini inspector.
There you go.
It's a real thing with, credentials and degrees.
So by time this episode hits, I will have seen The Great Gatsby, barring any major malfunction. And
sorry, I'm apologizing to you ahead of time.
That's all right. I don't have the
I'm sorry for what's about to happen to you.
But I actually just today finished reading The Great Gatsby for the very first time. I had actually never read it before. Somehow it was not involved in my high school English classes. I think the AP classes read it for some reason and not us dumb kids.
But we had it in our school.
Yeah, I think most people did have The Great Gatsby in their curriculum. Rich, did you have it?
I did. I remember reading it. I remember not particularly liking it, but a lot of the classics at the time, I may have just been too young.
You're probably too young, mostly for a lot of them. I think is, I don't know, but it kind of got me. I've been talking to a lot of people. I think a lot of people are reading it for the first time because of the movie, which you can frown upon that, but hey, at least they're reading it because guess it's a fucking great book. Like I feel stupid saying that, which I keep saying to my wife. Like whenever I say it, like it's so well written. Like it's in such stark contrast to a lot of the stuff I read now, which I read for fun. Like I'm not reading to get anything out of it, but my God, Fitzgerald's an amazing writer. Like I actually
that can't be true. That statement you just said. Is he reading books for pure entertainment value? You don't care if you learn anything. That's not true.
Well, no. I mean, I do read I read like homebrewing books and stuff like that. I mean, I do read things that I want to get stuff out of.
I think I've always had this theory that people tend to lean towards either being book readers or magazine readers, and magazine readers more confused now because it's essentially website, more reality based, more short burst periodical stories, like those. That's what I've found a lot of people have a reading pattern for. They either like long form fiction, nonfiction books, or they tend to just hop around a lot, either websites or magazines. Would you put yourself in one of those categories?
I mean, I kind of read a little bit of everything. I still have magazine subscriptions. A couple of them are digital, a couple of them are still analog.
Right.
But I read books, but like what I was saying is I don't always try to read something that's challenging. Like I'm not looking to read like the Odyssey or something like that, or I'm not going back and reading Shakespeare's plays and things like that. I'm reading stuff that is, I don't know, I guess not necessarily pulpy, but just not terribly challenging. Not that Gatsby's really challenging or anything like that.
No, it's a novel. I mean, it's
just a straight novel, but it's written.
You can tell it's a thriller.
Yeah, it really kind of is. It's you can tell it's written at a higher level. Like a more capable writer wrote this as compared to a lot of stuff I was reading.
Yeah,
I read generally. But what my main question was going to be is like, what are some of the classics that you guys have missed throughout, like either your school career or just you've been meaning to read that forever and you never have? Because the Gatsby was like at the top of my list.
I've got a bunch of free ones from the public domain that I downloaded and shoved into iTunes so I could sync them, and I haven't read them yet, so I can actually tell you the list.
There you go. Yeah.
It's stuff like, and it's funny because it's pretty much exactly what you just said. Like it's a bunch of old bullshit that I would dive into. Like I'd probably read some Freud and some Nietzsche and some Confucius. I've got The Republic in here. I've got all the completed works of Edgar Allan Poe, which a bunch of those I've already read. I just wanted them.
Right.
Ethics by Aristotle. Like that's where I would want to catch up on. Is like
so you're going like really old school.
Yeah, I'd start way back. And
yeah,
like I need more philosophy. I've read a bunch of philosophy but I still need to read more of it because I don't have a good base for what I,
At some point in my life, I'm going to read Leaves of Grass. Like, that's something I want to read at some point. Like, Whitman has local connections around here. He lived in our area where Rich and I live now. He actually, like, one of his old houses is like a town over, like 2 towns over.
Right.
But so I kind of want to read that. I remember enjoying the poems we did read, like, in school and that kind of stuff. Rich, what about you? What is some stuff that you might have missed?
Well, the thing is, I would probably go back and reread some of the, like, something like The Great Gatsby or The Sun Also Rises, like, things like that. Because I read them in high school, but like I didn't fully appreciate them, and like when you're forced to read things like that, like especially at such a young age, like I didn't draw enough from it where I think I probably would draw a lot more now because I'm reading it A, for pleasure, and B, I'm taking my own time. I'm not taking a test on it at the end of the week either.
Right.
I have always wanted to read Ayn Rand stuff like The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged.
Yeah,
I know those are huge books, but
Atlas Shrugged in particular is enormous.
Get ready for 10-page speeches.
I have always wanted to read those. Those have always been kind of intriguing, and I hate to say largely because of BioShock.
Yeah,
but it's like you were saying before, though. Like, it's not a bad thing. It's like when people start playing guitar because of Guitar Hero.
Right, it wasn't a bad thing.
It's a weird way to get into it, but I mean, you're still getting into music. You're getting into literature because of something else. So.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I read Dianetics when I was like 12. And my parents, I remember, were just like, okay, like, I guess we heard some weird shit about that book. And when I got done Dad was like, well, some people say it changes their lives. What did you think about it? It was like, well, it started off with a sort of interesting premise, but then it just went completely crazy.
Well, right, particularly when you and I were growing up. I mean, that was on like every other commercial. Like,
it was a huge marketing push in that time period in the 80s. It's true. That's when they first built the big, like, celebrity center and all that bullshit.
Right.
And actually, it did behoove me later on because I actually, I don't know if I've ever told this story on the podcast, but I actually went into the Scientology Center in Toronto and got tested.
Really?
I was waiting for a concert to start, and I had 2 hours to kill. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll go see the Scientology guys. And I tried to play it. I played it as straight as I possibly could. I was just totally trying to answer everything, just be like totally normal. And I could only hold it together for so long. Like, I had to fill out this long multiple choice thing that was like, do you ever want to hurt animals? Do you want to, like, just, it's basically stuff from the master,
Yeah.
Which now I laugh when I watch the movie. I'm like, yep, that's in there. And then after I did that, basically the guy took this form and he kind of did some paperwork on it, and he brought me over to a desk and he said, okay, so what this thing has told me, and remember, it's just what you've told me about yourself. We're not judging you or marking you or anyway, but you seem like you have suicidal thoughts and you might need some help. And he basically just said, like, you are fucking damaged, and this is the reason why you should join the church. And I was like, I just nodded and smiled. I was like, okay. And I said, so what happens now? Like, what comes now? And he's like, well, you should read this book. And he pulled out Dianetics. And I was like, I've read that book. But he's like, stopped. He's completely was not expecting it. He's like, you've read the book. I'm like, yeah, I read the book like years ago. And he's like, what did you think of it? And I was like, it's insane. He thinks that, like, yelling at your baby is causing abortions and that there are aliens that are being released from volcanoes. It's crazy, that book. What comes after the book? And the guy's like, okay, I think we're done here. I'm like, no, what's after the book? What's
the next step? I'm ready.
I was like, it's like I see the box set. What is that? Like a vial of methadone and like a VHS of some propaganda? Like, what is that? And he just threw me out. I couldn't hold it together anymore, but yeah.
That's pretty
great. It's good. Anyways, my point there is it's good to read controversial books because then you can authoritatively mock them.
Right. Yeah, like that's like, Dan read the 4th and 5th Song of Ice and Fire books out of spite, just because he heard how bad they were.
I hate read.
Yeah. He read them just to shit on them. He read 2,000 pages of book of 2 different books.
So he could specifically eviscerate it. Well, an educated opinion is still a better one than you can't crap on something you haven't experienced if it's a piece of art or media. So
absolutely. And at this point, we've all experienced Perpetual Geek Machine Show 93, so I think this is a good place to wrap it up, gentlemen. Hey, you can always contact us. Podcast at perpetualgeekmachine.net is our email address. Drop us a review, leave us a comment, get in touch, say hi on Twitter at Perpetual Geek. You can do all of those
special
things.
Thanks to viewer.
Yes, thank you, viewer. We appreciate you tuning in for our live hangout.
We're trying to say who the viewer is. It just says viewer.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think I know who.
Yeah, probably. But hello. Hey. Yeah, we're trying to do live hangouts more often than not. But yeah, like I said, keep your ears peeled out for more of our plans that we'll reveal when we have more plans for June 10th. That's a Monday, and we'll be hanging out all day.
You know, you just pre-announced an announcement like we always hate when video game companies do.
Yeah, no, but I mean, that's kind of the announcement. Like, we're doing this thing.
Yeah.
But I just said more details coming soon.
I'm just pulling your chain.
All right, that's fine, jerk.
Train
anyway,
director.
for for Rich Coonley and Ryan Houston, I've been your host, Kevin Alexander. Thank you for listening, and until next time, we are shutting down the machine. All right, let's count out. And in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm just wondering when we should end the fucking broadcast. If I hit end broadcast, is it